Was it a shadow?
Oh, yeah, you were.
Zero room to judge. Okay, I have started up the stream. Let me see how far into it we are.
There you go. Yeah, notification popped up.
15 seconds, perfect.
Yeah.
Hello, all newcomers. Welcome back, fellow Eternians. If you can hear me and see everybody on stream, we are having our second government meeting of the summer. We're going to start trying to record these meetings as much as possible so you guys can stay up to date with what we're doing and so that we can make sure to have everybody be able to participate even when we all can't be here at the same time, for our citizens, for our government members. So it's good all around, and we're going to get started. How are you guys doing today? How are y'all?
Oh, is this what we talk?
Yeah.
I'm alright. I'm all good. How are you?
Fantastic. I guess I should have made some introductions. We have Master Stephen Vince of the House of Treasure here with us.
What's good?
Yeah, and we have Press Secretary Nathan here from the House of Others. Hey, the face reveal. And hopefully very soon we will have Master Gray. Yeah, joining us. Leanna says,
Wait, you got mine yet.
Ooh, fantastic. Please do. Leanna said, greetings, AP. Greetings, Leanna. How are you? Hey, we have Master Gray Mare jumping in.
Greetings. How's everyone?
Fantastic.
I'm cooking, dog.
Wonderful. Good to hear everyone's voices.
Absolutely. Real quick, before we get started, is everybody cool with us doing the stream thing? I know I sent you a message, Gray, but I wanted to double check that with you.
Like streaming this meeting?
Yeah, so we're actually like on a stream at the moment.
We live, baby.
Greetings to everyone on stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you comfortable? Like, are you okay? Because I do want to have the government meeting, but I don't want to I want to make sure it's cool.
Good.
Cool.
I got the salt.
Fantastic.
What? You cut out. I'm sorry, bro.
No, I was singing how you
I'm doing fantastic, bro. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good to hear you.
Yeah, good. I'll be even better with salt and that sort of stuff.
We have Stephen cooking a delicious meal. Gonna be unveiled at the end of the. I don't know, but I would love to see it. What are you making, Stephen?
I'm making. I never know what I cook because I just put shit in at random or stuff in at random. So I can call them all medleys. This one just has lima beans, carrots, egg, chicken, and rice. Just like a carb load thing because I'm racing tomorrow.
Very nice. Good luck on your race. We're excited for you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So to move forward with things, one of the biggest goals that I wanted to try and get done with this government meeting in particular is to make sure everybody's kind of on the same page with the documentation we've set up so far. Understanding how the Guide of Foundation and Principles works, making sure everybody understands their positions and everything, and then also going forward with that to allow for the House of Others and the House of Treasure to be able to kind of develop their own plans in the future as they see fit. One of the biggest things that I know would be really helpful is to first ask if anybody has any questions, but then to be able to move forward and kind of look at any areas that are unclear, any areas that might need more definition for us. So I guess I'll open it up to the floor to start out the meeting. Has everybody read the Guide of Foundation and Principles a little bit? Does everybody feel kind of comfortable with their position or want to ask any questions?
I feel fine. feel like for mine it's just like stuff I know and stuff I'm comfortable in, like social media and that kind of stuff. It's like something I've experienced and like have learned about and stuff. Plus I think just like my generation, just like my general environment, just like social media savvy, tech savvy. Well, I mean, you get to a certain point that you like technology. When I told my parents, now my grandparents, but technology, that's like when you know you've peaked as a true IT guy.
I respect that for sure. And you're doing a great job at it as well.
Yes, I've read it as well. Gone through it. So I know Rick, the party here, are the topics for tonight's discussion listed up? Were they listed up before I came?
Fantastic.
Cool. Yeah. So, were the topics for this conversation listed up before I came, or is this our first topic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I misheard. So, are you asking if we have a pre-written topic for this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. We don't. I really just wanted to initially see where everybody's head was at, and then be able to start dissecting, problems, talking about, how we see our roles and really the teams that we're starting to build here, and then being able to shore up things from there. Of course, as we go through this meeting, if there are things that become glaring points that we would like to work out or that we need to put aside and put more time to, I absolutely do want to be starting to record those things. I wanted to see what was the most pressing things to discuss first, and move from there.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I see that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Look through the kind of foundation of principles. Not everything that is on the discussion that we've been talking about with the system is on here as well.
Absolutely. That is 100% a big issue, is trying to come out with continual updates and final products for that document. Um, if you don't mind, because I haven't looked at it in just a moment, are there any things in particular that come to mind for you so that we can start to write those down and add them? I'm gonna pull up the document as well as we go through.
I posted a document in our house's chat for everyone to look at that helps at all.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. I'll actually. Let me see if I can go and grab that really quickly. House's chat. Ooh, okay. Let me jump on my version, I guess, so that because it says I need access, so instead of going through the whole access thing, I guess I'll show my version. If there are any discrepancies between my version and the version that you're posting, please let me know so I can update and share out new versions and stuff.
Yeah, I have a new version, so if you could send that, I could get the latest version. I'd love it.
Absolutely. Like I'm saying, I'm not certain that there is a more updated version than what you have. I didn't open the document, but I would like to go through it and make sure that those aren't too different. And worst comes to worst, I can also get access to your document in a little while and do that. Let me switch over my stream controls to our document here.
So, AP, were you thinking that this format of our government meetings, did you want maybe to open the floor up to citizens? for questions for us? Is that what you were thinking we could accomplish with this format, or do you think it's just more to like tell people, hey, we're doing stuff, trust us?
That's a great question. So I would like to be able to do a bit of both. Let me see if anybody can hear us on the stream. So people can hear me. I'm not sure if they can hear all of you because I did change the screen. Um, but I can probably pull up another one that has you guys in it. So let's see if we can do that. So that way you can repeat your question, or we can re-announce it. Fantastic. Okay, so Stephen, you were asking about whether we wanted to use this format to open up general questions from citizens, or whether we were just going to move forward insular to the government itself. Is that correct?
Yeah, just like if we intended this format to be purely just for recording purposes, or we also wanted it to be like a way to include the community into our actual discussions.
Absolutely. So we definitely do want to open that up to the citizens as much as possible. For this particular meeting, because I didn't, think of that in mind too much, I would say let's have people message in the comments that we can read off, and as well we can also have them message in the house chat or in the general on Discord, and we can try and go through and see if there are any questions that anyone wants to bring up here. Anyone can go through and find questions, or I'll go through as well and answer some questions. But in the future, I would like a more official format for that and a platform for those people. So of course, I would like to do the government meetings within the um, excuse me, I'm blanking. The Hall of the Empire. I'd love to be able to do our meetings in the Hall of the Empire. If we could do a video call like this through there, that way our citizens could participate and could potentially be audio along with our general discussion. But I would like to be able to poll as many people as possible and pull as many questions. So if you guys have any suggestions for that, whether people watching along with us today or people who, or everybody in the voice call right now, we can definitely look at improving that for these future streams. But yeah, that was a great question, Stephen. Did that answer appropriately?
Yeah, definitely appreciate that.
Cool deal. Okay, so we have our preface here, just kind of a little thing that I wrote talking about our nation, sort of the reasoning behind it. Um, uh, Going into um, the actual structure. So we have the government structure. The government of the Empire of Aeternia is the way in which the Emperor's will for the Empire is carried out in both day-to-day operations as well as long-term strategy. Basically, this is just saying that the government is something that I'm forming that is designed to be able to break down the work that we have to do to continue forward and to advance and to make more quality for those people who are becoming citizens, those people who are becoming parts of the government, and to be able to fill in and improve the bottom of our structure, so to speak, to be able to grow and elevate ourselves by improving through distributing that work, to sort of have one person, the emperor, as the main node through which that work starts being distributed, and that those offices that grow out of that, the houses that we have, will start to act as specific entities taking over sections of running the whole of the government. So as we've seen with the House of Treasure and the House of Others, running both our community in general from an economic standpoint and seeing where we look at our advantages there, and then as well from a cultural and social standpoint, talking to different people in our community, creating different advertisement for ourselves, spreading awareness of who we are, contacting other leaders, and even helping to design and create the culture for the Empire of Aeternia. So both incredibly large groupings in taking over a lot of work on their own, respectively. But that is the development so far. We have the definition of the emperorship being that the emperor is the absolute monarch, reigned for life, and referenced in the Guide for Eternian Policy, Culture, and Unity. Houses, houses are extensions of the power of the emperor. Again, just saying that those become breakdowns of the power structure for how we need to get things done, and as well as far as direct instructions going from the emperor down through the ranks of the houses. And then the house nobles being under house masters. House masters defined below house nobles, actually, but house nobles being specific entities within the houses that are attempting to carry out day-to-day activities, like, for example, Press Noble Nathan, who is actively helping to manage our social media accounts, specifically our Twitter and Instagram. So that falling under the larger umbrella of everything that the House of Others does, having press nobles helps us to focus down and to deliver specific objectives and specific work to government officials who can get that done and help expand that presence. And then the masters being the overseers of all the things that those houses have to do, which make up large chunks of our government and day-to-day activity. Before I continue, because that was quite a bit, one, are there any questions about any of that so far? And secondly, does this seem familiar to everybody? Does this seem like it's consistent between copies of the guide and in what you all understand?
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna be completely honest. I kind of wasn't listening because I posted that we were live on Instagram and Twitter. So, yeah, but like, as for the, kind of my very big brain, yeah, it seems all pretty familiar and stuff like that.
Fantastic. Yeah, a lot of what I covered was just trying to explain, actually, in part describing your position and saying that nobles focus on specific tasks like you do with our Instagram and Twitter and running that, and then masters like Gray help to direct the overall runnings and activity that the houses have to manage, and then all of that flowing up the chain to me as the emperor. Anyone else as well? That was great input, Nathan.
Yeah, it's familiar. So, no.
Fantastic. Okay. Stephen, if you're good as well, then we can probably continue on. As well, if anybody has a particular section of something or a particular question that they want to kind of jump through, I don't want to waste everybody's time going over things that we all know, but I do want to make sure that things are covered thoroughly enough. So I guess I'm trying to read the room on that one.
Yo, I'm sorry, my mic died. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly, Stephen.
Okay, good. I was just going to say that having read through the document before, the reiteration is good, but I pretty much understand it. But I think it would be helpful to our community to just like keep going through it. Maybe just give them an idea if they haven't seen it yet.
Absolutely. So then what I'll do is kind of skim, and I'll say that if anybody wants to follow along, you can definitely read the Guide of Foundation and Principles on our website, and look out for continued updates to that. But I believe this should be the most recent update and the one that's posted on our website. I don't know that there's been too much change, but if we run into something, we will correct that, and we'll need to send it out to our government officials, and then we'll post it on our website. Citizens are individuals which have dedicated themselves to creating a life in the Empire of Aeternia. This includes responsibilities of loyalty to the Emperor, following the guidelines detailed in this document, and honest service to the Empire. So that, in itself, is something which I would like to say encompasses the range of what it means to be a citizen. In the very most minimal sense, it means accepting the position, accepting the viewpoint of being a citizen, someone who is. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there a question? Okay. Um, so someone who is uh, dedicating their work, their time, their efforts, and identifying who they are in alignment with the Empire of Aeternia and helping to make the Empire of Aeternia what it is. It's the collection of all the people who live and work and dedicate to the Empire. Um, so that can be anything from someone who is just paying the $1 citizenship tax on our Patreon. That can be someone who is creating video content for us and is actively participating in the daily events that we do, all the way up through our government officials and even myself. That doesn't necessarily mean that in creating a life for yourself in the empire, that's creating ties, creating a community, further investing yourself in it. That doesn't necessarily mean residence, and that'll be we actually don't have really any official residence of the Empire of Aeternia as far as officially on the land, except for myself. So, in continuing with that, in order to ensure that there are no conflicts of interest arising naturally through citizenship, citizens are not allowed to have any other micronational citizenship or position in another micronational government. That's just saying we want our citizens to focus on what we're doing, and so we don't allow micronational dual citizenship. You can have your own citizen from your own nation, but not one from a micronation. In order to ensure that dedication is completed and complete and directly beneficial to the empire's growth, all citizens must pay a tax for citizenship, either through a monthly monetary payment or through labor to the empire, which will be assigned to them based on the needs of the empire at a given time. So just saying that everybody needs to contribute to our growth and our success in order for us to have something that is able to truly increase the value of that citizenship and what it means to be Aeternian. So
Yes,
whether it's
basically,
yeah.
there's Stephen way making financial decisions not the best, but it is an option. Or there's my route, where you make content for the empire, then get citizenship. So there's two roads that all lead to the center.
I'm sorry, I had to turn on my headphones for that one. Did you just say my method was not a good method?
No.
Okay.
The good news about it is that there are multiple ways to citizenship, and that's what's really important. Is that whether you have money but not as much time, or time but not as much money, there are ways to still benefit in every financial scenario, in every life scenario. We want to make it as accessible as possible for people to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. All our citizens' contributions are very, very important to us and are greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially, Nate, if you can do both money and time, which I did.
Okay, so moving on to sovereigns. This is actually a fairly new topic, so I imagine there may be some differences here, or there may be some questions that come up around this area because this starts to get into our prestige system and so on. So most micronations, most nations in general, have kind of those categories, right? Government officials, maybe a monarch if you have that, and then citizens, just everyday people. But for micronations in particular, there's this kind of interesting gray area where a lot of the time there are people who want to work and help develop other micronations, but who don't necessarily want or need a citizenship in that nation to do so. And so there are a lot of these free floating people who either are already a part of another nation and so can't become a part of the Empire of Eternia, or there are people who just may not be micronationalists, but may have some specific interest, like starting a business in Eternia, or like coming in to develop a specific trade skill or something. So the way that we want to be able to handle that is by creating a category of person which does not require the demands of citizenship in the responsibilities of a citizenship tax, but still allows for somebody to get some benefits from participation, active participation in the empire. So Sovereigns are those people who have, for one reason or another, not been declared as either a citizen or a foreign dignitary, which we will speak about in just a moment. And so those people are classified as sovereigns. They are people who can still maneuver through our system. They can get a sovereignty license, which is a part of the prestige system, in which they can earn skills. They can access quests that will be put out by the Empire of Aeternia to help promote our own tasks and our own objectives that we need done. So, for example, if Nathan needed some help in creating pictures, content for our Instagram and Twitter, we could at some point create a quest asking people for a specific type of content or a specific type of development in order for them to receive a reward for that. So sovereigns are people who can interact with that system and who can start to develop themselves in whichever direction they would like to from that point without investing in necessarily citizenship. And then, of course, we have foreign dignitaries. Foreign dignitaries are those who specifically do serve another micronation. Now, we have actually, foreign dignitaries a lot of the time can mean any governing official or any representative official of another micronation or another nation in general. But we have kind of restricted this category down a little bit to mean the one specific contact that we have to another nation. So a nation can have its governing entities and all of its um, connections to us that it wants. But as far as things that would be like large trade deals, the signing off on completion of trade deals, anything that would be monetary transactions, anything that would require edits to people's licensing in our prestige system, all of that for a government, the representative that can make final decisions with regard to a government in our institutions, in Aeternia's prestige system, in Aeternia's economy, has to be a designated individual. And it would be one individual from every nation. We may extend that at some point, but that person would be the primary official contact for the Empire of Aeternia to whichever nation that is. So everybody else would be able to obtain sovereignty licenses, but would not be able to obtain a foreign dignitary's license because that is just specifically an official position designated to complete um, uh, formal transactions between nations. Um, Real quick, again, a lot of ground covered there. Does anybody have any questions? While I ask that, I am going to look at the chat because the chat has been blowing up.
Do we have any actual interest, like, have we actually gotten any contacts who want to apply for this sovereignty? Or is this just something that's we're going to hope comes into play later?
Absolutely. So right now we have 3 different applications that have been submitted for sovereignty licenses, which isn't very much at all. But of those, one is actually in the process of being approved. Drew, Matt, the person who's a part of our original board, citizen, right? His brother Drew has actually applied for one in lieu of having citizenship currently, and is actively working on completing the requirements for skills and things for their license. But that's moving forward. I've sent out the other 2 emails, just initial contact emails saying thank you for applying. This is kind of what you would need to do to get into the specific skills you want, and have not heard back. So this is definitely a very, very small system at the moment that has been the initial seeding, the initial start out for it. But the attempt would ultimately be to have the quest system be a way for us to create value within our community by being able to gift awards to people, but as well to be able to use that as an economic engine for us to be able to complete tasks that we need, and then to be able to offer that to other micronations and other individuals who may want to assist in that. So people can advance their sovereignty licenses to the point in purchasing advanced licenses that would allow them to actually post quests themselves in our quest forum on our website. it's a way to have our community become more economically interactive and pull toward the system that we're developing to do so as a way of networking. So that's the development of it, and that's the way to start out that attempt, I suppose.
All right, thank you. I'm glad I have more of an understanding on that.
Absolutely. And as well, please feel free to bring up any questions, comments, or concerns about that, because it is something that still has to continue to be fleshed out. It needs to be continually prodded to make sure that it's something that actually applies enough value for our people, for our community, to warrant its development.
With that in mind, just thought we're doing here in the broader scope of the government branches, both internally and externally. What is something right now that Aeternia is doing that really helps broader micronationalism? And how can we make our houses better focus on that goal of being able to help micronations?
That's a fantastic question. So I would say initially, something that has helped us for a long time and seems to be actually kind of accelerating in its attractiveness to others has been our micronational map. That's something we've done for a long time. That's something that doesn't have too much that we can update it on, but there are other things that we can continue with. So the micronational map has almost I think it has almost 100 nations on it now, if it hasn't hit 100 yet. But that has been interesting because it's actually been able to start popping up communities of micronations that are nearby each other. Some of those nations, I'm sure, by now have been defunct, and we need to edit and filter out ones that we can't contact. But for the most part, there have been some active communities that have started to pop up, and nations who we can see in our chats for our live streams that have been interacting with each other in that same area. So I think if we were to try to advance on that in particular, in this idea of groupings and communities of nations around the world, what I would suggest is that we find a way to make our website or make our system in general be more directed toward the development of those communities, those local communities, which could be assisted by that micronational map. So doing things that would promote um, promote trade between these different nations, things that would promote them learning about each other and actually understanding what economic benefits they can provide each other, but also their local region. And so I think finding ways to help prop up those small flowering communities will really pay off in the long run for them as well as for our community.
Stephen, what are your thoughts on how Aeternia is helping micronationalism through our programs?
Well, I actually think we've done a lot for micronationalism ever since its conception, with all those videos that are essentially tutorials on how to go from a new micronation to one that's budding and growing on its own. I think AP's been very generous in giving his tips and tricks on that. And in regards to what the houses can do, this has always been a personal belief. I think we need to just focus on Aeternia. While it's great that we're doing the sovereign system, and while that will help us and the micronational community, I think benefits unto the community shouldn't be our sole purpose. I think we should, we can't scratch others' backs if we can't scratch our own. So I think we've done a good enough job so far. Maybe we should just focus on Aeternia for a little bit.
Well said. Nathan, as well, do you have anything you'd like to bring up?
I mean, I would like to say that, as we've been looking through, like, Instagram analytics and stuff, just, like, the progress we've made, we've probably made more progress with the micronational community than anything before Eternia was even created. Like, just seeing that progress and the growth of new people, it's just like, yeah, I'm not really sure what the house is going to really do.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I do want to note as well, Nathan, that as far as the last couple days, I've been tracking the progress of the Twitter and Instagram since you've been posting, and it's going up. Like it's a significant, noticeable difference in how fast we're growing. So thank you for that. Um, Great. How do you feel, I suppose, about the responses to that? And do you feel like there's something more that you're looking for with that?
No, I guess I was asking the questions in just the mindset, the Guided Foundation of Principles, and how keeping true to what our goal is, and just agreeing with Stephen here, focusing on attorney in and of itself is important now. And so just as we move forward, it was just keeping our core beliefs in check, keeping them in value, and bringing them to the surface, just being able to just continue that. So I just been agreeing, given focusing on ourselves, and the old air mask when you go into a plan situation here. Give yourself air first before you share it. So yeah, absolutely. We have grown a lot lately. There's been some definite growth in the community here. So with some of the things that we don't have on the guide foundation and principles here, like foreign dignitaries, the copy that I have, we don't have foreign dignitary in here. I think that's something that I'd like to hear more about, and I think the community should hear more about, because I think it's a great tool. We've talked about it in the past. I think it's an incredible tool for people to use. And I know there's a lot of questions that come in, wanting people wanting to form alliances, people wanting to do trade treaties or whatnot. For those that don't know, getting a foreign dignitary and coming in through that way is the way to do it in Eternia. And we have an application for that, and you can sign up for that. It's a great tool, and it allows you also the option. So definitely check that out. But I think not a lot of people know about it. So if you could just explain more about it, and also just talking about as a team as a whole, practically speaking, where should that fall in the different houses and what we want to train taking over this work.
100%. And as well, I want to apologize for not having the updated versions out, and I will definitely send you that after this meeting. As well post it on our website so everybody can get the update. As far as continuation on the foreign dignitary system, Gray's 100% right in the aspect of describing that we want this to be well-rounded for people who are trying to interact with our nation. Like you said, there are a ton of people who constantly reach out to us for alliance. Our application, we talked about a moment ago, our application for sovereignty was 3 so far, and we've launched that not too long ago. But our application for alliance, even though we've had that for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, we have had, I think, 80 or so applications for alliance, and so there's a staunch difference and a really clear importance set by our community in trying to access that side of our nation. So we can't ignore that. We need to be able to respond appropriately. And the fundamental dilemma that Eternia has is, like Stephen said, trying to focus in on ourselves and understand that while we do want to give our time and efforts to the micronational community, and while we do want to grow together, we want to strengthen our base as a community and grow that. We have to be able to do it in a way that's sustainable for us and that ensures that we can stay ahead to be able to continue to provide advancement for this community. So trying to intermingle those things and make the generosity that we're giving also pay us back is the concept for creating things like the prestige system, where a lot of the time when people ask us for alliance, they are excited about the connection that they can have to us in more regular talks, discussions. Another concept for that being foreign relations, people wanting to sign foreign relation treaties with us. Um, the the issue there a lot of the time is that when first meeting a nation and when first interacting with them, it is very, very hard um, for us to actually connect to what it is that those nations need and what it is that those nations can provide us. So, in needing to go through all those talks and having all that issue, a lot of the time conversation can break. A lot of the time you'll get disconnected from a nation, or sometimes things will just come up that make that process longer and harder. So, if people want to get in with working with Aeternia, if people want to feel that mobility in their nation, that connection to what we're doing, you are 100% right, Gray. The best way forward is for them to get a foreign dignitary's license, as well if they want to immediately have that direct connection, that ability to make trade agreements and things like that. But that is for um, a a group that would have the ability to do so, that would have things in mind that they are financially ready to start trading in and dealing in. But nonetheless, we absolutely strongly recommend a sovereignty license as well. Being that they are 100% free, being that they are something which you can still reach out through your nation with and still be able to interact with our community and even achieve things of value, complete tasks for us. And that not only reflect on the connection that we have to your nation and that you've been able to provide services for us, which we wouldn't be able to get elsewhere, but also that allows for your nation to have um, an ability to increase their own personal value through getting the rewards that we apply through those quests. So that's something that's 100% free. You can have all of your citizens have digital sovereignty licenses if you wanted, that would have your nation's flag on it, and would be able to have them work and develop themselves in our prestige system, in our government, in our economy. Um, as outsiders, as people who aren't coming in as citizens like most people do for our nation. So, um, connecting to us without having something immediately of value, the sovereignty system, the sovereignty license is the best way to go through trying to develop that yourself and trying to get in on the ground floor, so to speak. Um, in advancing beyond that, it is pretty quick. Once we understand things that you've applied and already filled out for the sovereignty license, which you can find on our website, that gives us a lot of information about who you are and potentially what your nation can do. You have to fill out skills and describe things that you're good at so that we can understand how you'll be able to apply for quests and to certify you in the things that you say that you're good at so that other people can interact with that. So that should allow you connection to us, as we will be prompted to want to supply you with quests that we know we need done by skilled individuals like yourself. And as well, it shows you off to the rest of the micronational community and the rest of the Aeternian community saying, hey, surprise, there's a person who just showed up in the prestige system who has a skill that nobody else has been officiated in yet. So it's an incredible opportunity for people to make their mark and to be able to start, whether it's small businesses for themselves, whether it's an initial industry for their economy, whatever that may be. We want to be the open market to provide that. We want to be a value creation tool for micronationalists, and that being a system which drives our economic engines, which enables us to do more through actually empowering the community to work on projects. So I hope that helps a little bit. Let me see something real quick.
I hope.
Oh,
just glitched, like,
Yeah, mine died as
never
well.
like here, your left card.
Uh-oh. Goodness. Okay. So can everybody hear me? Hello? Sorry about that. Hello, I'm back. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
We're
we're
good.
good.
Okay.
I can hear.
What was the last thing y'all heard? Because I don't want to jump back and forth too hard.
You just kind of went, and then died.
Goodness. Okay. So the last thing that I was trying to say, if y'all heard some of the talk about the prestige, about the sovereignty licenses, I was just saying that it's the best way to go about it for a nation who wants to connect with us in a similar way to an alliance, but may not have an idea of what they could provide of value in that alliance. Because to apply for a sovereignty license, you need to describe some skills that you're good at. Then you'll be verified in those skills once you get the license. That's the part of that licensing process. So having all of that developed gives us an indication of who you are, what you're skilled at, and therefore what your nation can also provide us if you are coming from another nation. As well, that shows you off to the micronational community and says, hey, this person has unique skills that can be accessed through this system. And so it will start to allow individuals in this system to create networks of their own and create businesses, hopefully, and industries of their own, all while simultaneously driving our ability to do more and more through our ability to apply these quests to different individuals in our in our prestige system, in our sovereignty licenses. As well, I hope that was explained all right. Again, please let me know if there's any confusion.
Not at all. This covers the guidance foundation of principles. Did we finish going over it here? I think we got up to licenses, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we had gone to, let's see, yep, we got into licenses, thank you. So the license of sovereignty, as we spent a minute covering, is basically a way for people to be able to interact with our nation without either being a foreign dignitary from another nation or being a citizen. It's the easiest, most accessible way to start developing value within our prestige system. So a license of sovereignty is a license guaranteed for use within a list of nations that have officiated its usage for completing tasks and gaining citizenship within their nations. So that is a part of this larger prestige system that we've developed, and that is tied directly to these foreign dignitaries and our alliances. So when a country goes to actually develop a foreign dignitaries license with us and wants to try to develop large-scale trade with us, they are, and even an alliance, they are putting themselves into a joint connection with our economics, with our industry. So in doing that, we want to promote all of the sovereigns that are inside of that to allow them to be able to find valuable work within their trade skill. The benefit for the nations who are involved with us, who would be taking on those sovereigns, is that they now have this skilled workforce that they before may not have had access to, that they can use to complete goals and objectives that their nation may not be able to do on its own for simple rewards. I'm sorry, was there a question or a comment? Okay. So that is what the license of sovereignty is. that's basically what we talked about. It's a form of labor credit extending for use in completing large or complex tasks within their current labor pool, which may not be effective. So essentially saying that, if you don't have enough people of a particular skill set to do something, you can just be a part of our prestige system, send out, as your foreign dignitary could, send out a quest and would be able to receive a list of applying sovereigns to complete that quest for you, hopefully fairly quickly. Moving down to the license of citizenship. Um, the license of citizenship is to enable our own citizens to not only develop themselves internally as far as still being able to access all of the skills and all of the quests that sovereigns are, but with additional benefits such as social prestiges, um, governmental prestiges, all of these things at large being the connectors to society. So these prestiges that the prestige system is named after is based around a specific um, alphanumeric code that would be on your license, and multiple of them more than likely, that would designate you to specific accesses for certain things. So, for example, on most people's licenses, on our citizenship licenses, you will see CIT1. And that means they are at the most basic level of citizenship. That is the general level of citizenship. That's just about really all you need for citizenship, so there probably won't be higher levels than that, but it just says you are officiated a citizen. If somebody asks you, are you a citizen of the Empire of Aeternia, you can prove that, and we can verify that through this system. There are other social prestiges. For example, with the aristocrat board, there is the ability for you to have your aristocrat ranking as a prestige on your license. And that tells people, hey, I'm somebody of value in Aeternia's economy. I'm somebody who has invested heavily in this. This is a social connection that I have. In the government, same thing. We have the designations for masters of houses, specifically what house you're a part of, and as well the designation for different governmental clearances, basically. Just saying, hey, are you in the top tier of the government? Are you the emperor, one of the masters, or are you in the second tier? Are you like a noble, or do you not have anything at all? Are you just a citizen? Those are effectively showing that you have certain access to things. You have certain abilities to unlock things that a general citizen may or may not. Would not, but that through your station you have a certain range and scope of access.
So in the comments, on the YouTube comments, Kyber, I believe it's how to pronounce your name, asked, I have a question, what sort of volunteering can you do instead of paying $1 a month to be a citizen? So Nathan is not our newest citizen, but our newest member to the government. Nathan, what did you do to become part of
Fake content.
100%.
Made made the Aeternian show, which I may start working on tomorrow, and I could have it done by Saturday. So, spoiler, it's going to include something about the flag. Ooh, spoiler.
I'm excited for it. But absolutely. So, yes, Nathan made content for us. And not only that, Nathan tapped into something pretty interesting. So we make a lot of content on the channel, but a lot of the time people would like shorter synopsises of what's happening, why it's happening, who are the important people. So Nathan created a news show for us, the Aeternian Show, which has become a cultural staple for us. People like it. People have tuned into the channel specifically for the Aeternian Show and asked us to bring back more Aeternian shows. So he actually earned his government position based on his creation and the wonderful effort he did there. So content creation is by far one of the biggest, most easy to access, but also most effective ways to provide value to us. We're actively trying to get monetization on this YouTube channel, which means that once we hit 4,000 watch time hours a year, we are able to start to put ads on all of our content. So when you submit and volunteer video content to us, that continues to add to that watch time, which gets us closer to our monetization goal, which we desperately need. But on top of that, it allows us to actually start looking at the type of content you're generating, and how popular it is, to continue to start to move you into different positions, whether you're wanting to be in the government, whether you're wanting to start a business. Creating content is a way into citizenship that not only allows for us to learn about you and to learn more about what you're interested in, but also allows you to instantly create something of value that can carry you far beyond just the general citizenship requirements that it would take.
Yeah, also, fun fact about the Aeternia show. I still remember the exact live stream when you were talking about the Lieberland one. And I'm like, I should do that. And then I brought it over.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm excited to see the new episodes for sure. I am pumped about it. Goodness. But yes, thank you, Gray, as well for answering that comment. That was really important, and I've been slacking on it really hard. As well to Kyber, if you would like to become a citizen, I hope you know where to apply. If not, eternianempire.wixsite.com/imperial market. It's our website. You can go there and you are able to, let me see if I can pull it up for you. Looks like this. If you type in the Empire of Aeternia into Google, a lot of time it'll show up for you, but it's eternianempire.wixsite.com/imperial market. You can actually click Citizenship, second tab on our home screen tab, on our main webpage tab, and you can click on this button to bring you to the application. And it'll again remind you of either paying $1 citizenship tax on our Patreon, or giving you the ability to create content for us or provide value in some way. So go check that out, read it, think about it, and I'm excited to see your application. Again, then going from real quick before we move on, does anybody have any more questions about like prestiges, or like what the sovereignty license is, or what like the citizenship license is?
I don't know if we discussed this, but the prestiges. So obviously, the whole point of prestiges is that there's different tiers. Like you move up and down a level. I know we've already predetermined like how you're going to achieve those levels. I'm just kind of wondering whether it's going to be my house or the house of others, or whether it's going to be a joint kind of committee. How are we going to verify that they have actually qualified for this, and how are we going to, I guess, just make sure that they're not just pulling the wool over our eyes in terms of trying to like make up how good they are at a certain or like, I guess I'm just trying to say, do we have plans for a committee to verify if people deserve to move up or down in prestige?
That's perfectly that's a perfectly acceptable question. I was going to say, and actually a very important one. The development of the prestiges generally will be, especially when talking about our citizenship licenses, will be things that will be achieved or not through an application. So, for example, like citizenship, once we approve a citizen, that person will have, the little citizenship thing on their license, as well. Going into different things, like if we ever have residents, those people getting that on their license would be through an application process. I think a lot of it is going to be prestiges specifically. A lot of it is going to be whether or not you have achieved some base criteria, which um, should be a very simple yes or no. I would say, as far as who approves it for prestiges, because prestiges are based on um, a connection to society in some sense, like where you're positioned, what access you have to different aspects of society, that will be probably a joint effort. There will be some that are, because they're based on applications, there will be some applications that are based around the House of Treasure. For example, people who are wanting to become nobles in the House of Treasure would go through the House of Treasure for that. People who, and to get final approval for that, would need to go through you or through someone else that you would designate that position. But for the House of Others would be something internal to them. I would like, especially as we have people who are moving up quite highly in rank, I would like for there to be um, some uh, ledger that can be kept um, for everybody to view for all the houses um, across house lines, I suppose. So if we could create a Google Sheets or something that would name all the people who are part of the government and what positions they have and things like that, that would be um, important. But as far as whether or not somebody gets an individual prestige, I would say is based um, around what the um, around what the prestige is for. Now, the biggest, in order to make sure that we don't have to have meetings and have connections every time we want to move somebody up in rank for something trivial, um, we want to make sure that we have a system that can be a little bit decentralized. So having the houses take care of house specific things, things that would fall under their umbrella. But I think the larger critical thing is to ensure that we have, like I said, some sort of ledger, some sort of document that would describe not only for the houses, but and for their members, but for citizens at large, for sovereignty, for the foreign dignitary positions, who has a license, what the different prestiges and skills they have on their licenses are, and then how are they um, um, any documented improvements, upgrades, or retractions that have to be made on their licenses should be kept just in record somewhere. So if we all have access to a singular record for that, you may not necessarily have to approve every single prestige or every single skill given, so long as everybody won't have to approve every single prestige or every single skill given, so long as the person who did approve that was of the appropriate source to do so, but also is that information is documented well, so that if there is any sort of contention about that, or if there needs to be a change made, that can be done, that can be viewed by everyone. Um, the individual skills and prestiges, though, I think should be divided up. We should go through and actually talk about dividing up who should take on those roles. For approval.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Of course. Does that help to clarify things?
Yeah, it helps to clarify, but I think time will truly answer it. So I appreciate it.
Agreed. And I think that's the biggest point that we need to make now, is trying to ensure that we don't outgrow our abilities. So we need to limit um, the amount of different prestiges that come out, especially, but also even the amount of skills that we have coming out at any one time, such that we can still maintain the sort of the overall heap of total skills we have, um, so that we have enough people to approve them in a timely manner. Um, so I think the biggest step to moving forward there is to have a list of the approved skills and approved prestiges, and then be able to use that in order to spread out the work between the houses. And then if we want to and feel we have the ability to expand to a new prestige or expand to a new skill, we can do so through meetings and through agendas. That way, this prestige system is really tied not only to the growth of our community and for trying to get people more and more invested in that, but also allows the houses to really take that into their own and make it a part of their larger plans. So if the House of Treasure is saying, hey, we really want to focus on trying to push content creation stuff, then we could say, okay, we're only going to focus on accepting new prestiges or extending and advancing continual prestiges right now that are based around content creation, because that's what we're trying to move forward with in the short term. That's what we need more people in, and vice versa with the House of Others, looking for potentially making of crafts or something like that, or people to actually move into creating larger things for like the website. Maybe coding becomes necessary or something. Whatever it is that a house wants to focus on, that power should be um, uh, allowed to them based in part in the tools that are given in the prestige system. That you can start to use the prestige system and the people that it gives you access to be able to start to develop an agenda for how you think we should grow and why you think we should grow that way. But we can do that um, by creating a document to list those prestiges and those skills which will be currently available, dividing those up, and then approving or suggesting new skills and prestiges from there. Um, but that is a great question. One of the larger things that I would like to try and figure out within this meeting is talking about. Goodness, my camera just likes to cut out on me. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's see. Sorry about that, everybody. My camera's cutting out. Trying to move forward specifically in this meeting, one of the biggest topics to focus on is what the House's plans are. And so I know a lot of that comes down to our understanding of things and trying to figure out, okay, what do we have the ability to use? What do we have access to? What is our scope? What is the playing field that we have? So I hope the prestige system allows for a little bit of wiggle room in that and allows you some methods for pulling in additional work or additional skills from people that may need to be achieved really quickly without trying to find citizens who may uh, fit that skill or ability necessarily. In general, though, are there things that you feel as the masters of houses, as a noble in one of our houses, are there things that you feel like are missing from your understanding of how you need to move forward or what you would like to do to move forward, or in a lack of tools to be able to accomplish the things that you would like to? Because that's what we need to start understanding to make sure that we can work together cohesively as a group. I don't want to be starting projects and then having everybody just try to keep up. I would like to be able to start to have everybody feel comfortable working around the ideas and the movements of each of the houses and of the government as a whole, and have that well described and have that well documented, so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, there's a few things I know that I'm hazy about with how suppose comes into a lot of these newer systems, and how that works. This is one we were talking about back and forth with text. But I wanted to maybe tonight, if that was on the list of things that we're talking about tonight, bringing in these systems and how we're like having that list that we were talking about earlier. So yeah, if that was on the schedule to talk about tonight, we could definitely unpack some of those things.
Absolutely. Let's please do that. And like I said, we didn't have an official schedule created for the night, but what I am going to go ahead and do is start one up, so that way we can at least keep tabs on kind of what was talked about and moving forward, as well if anybody from any of the houses wants to take their own notes for specific house purposes, you are encouraged to do so as well. So notes from meeting 5/19/21. Okay. So unpacking the prestige system in relation to each house. Is that fair to say as the thing we're trying to do at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So is there an immediate question that came to your mind, Gray? I know you were the one who brought up the topic.
Yeah. Let's see. Just want to be able to frame this context makes sense to the product community as well. There's people listening, so I want to say the way they understand. So we talked about people join into for citizenship. So citizenship track through the house. Others, the treasury, is there a third department that goes through? And how do we track for those things?
Absolutely. So thus far, I have been taking over citizenship basically on my own. Now, the biggest thing I think is going to be a question for assigning different objectives to different houses is how many people we have in the houses, and what their how the houses want to develop that. But the the question essentially will, I think, ultimately come down to, we have more things to do than people to do them at the moment, which doesn't mean we can't pretty quickly get to a capacity to fill all of that. But I am wanting to offer myself up and continue to offer myself up as the shortstop, as the person who's able to field the things that may not be able to be covered in the basis for the House of Treasure, the House of Others. So I want to make sure that you all are adequately filled with work to do, but not overexerting yourselves. So I would think that if we were going to put citizenship into a category, it would fall under the House of Others. However, I would want to look at all of the systems and see if there is one that there is a particular, because the House of Citizenship, as well as foreign dignitaries licenses. Even sovereignty I could see also being under the House of Others, but I think sovereignty could be fair to place. See? No, I think foreign dignitary. Okay, so these are the questions. For all three, there are both economic aspects and cultural aspects. I think citizenship is one that, of course, will have economic aspects, but the approval of citizenship, the process of approving that, does not necessarily require any any specific um, uh, financial or economic planning. So that being the case, I think citizenship would be fair to put in the category of the House of Others. Now that doesn't mean it is actively placed there. It doesn't mean that's an assigned role yet. I would just logically think that would be where that would go. But if it's not something that we want to focus on at the moment in trying to place in the hands of one of the houses, I am comfortable continuing to take that on until a time which we can assign it. The other two that I feel like um, are uh, more suited toward the House of Treasure in direct action would be, of course, foreign dignitaries and the sovereignty licenses. The foreign dignitaries are going to be something that deals a lot in intramicronational trade, are going to deal a lot in agreements, in payments, in actually coming down to what is valuable about the interactions between these nations. So that I think would fit pretty comfortably in the House of Treasure if they felt the ability to take that on. And then the sovereignty system, I think, being that it has so much, it definitely has a lot that is um, economically significant because it's people being able to use this quest system. It's people being able to tiptoe their way into our larger economic sphere. But I think in specifics, in the initial approval of sovereignty licenses, in the initial approval of skills, in the development of introducing this person to our society, it seems like the House of Others would have a greater initial impact on improvement to that system, falling under the sovereignty license, because the improvement of skills, of how they interact with us culturally, how they what actually are benefits for people coming into that system, and making sure that that is a well-rounded development, I think has a lot to do with the House of Others. But I will write dignitaries, HOT, and then sovereign, EIT, as House of Others. Now, again, these are not things that are set in stone. These are not anything that is, a direct objective or anything. I just want to see where everybody's head is at, see if anybody has agreements, disagreements, questions, comments, concerns, and kind of thinking along the lines of what we might want to start narrowing down into.
Citizenship for House of Others does sound perfect. I looked over the files that we have already on the citizens that we have, so things are up to date with that. I know last month I looked through it. Last month I looked through it. So everything's pretty updated. It's good. We have new citizens too. Greeting to the new citizens. Thank you guys for joining us. And it's very exciting. And this is the first fall live stream we've done. So for you guys to join us is really exciting, and I appreciate that. And I know we all appreciate that as well.
Absolutely. So I guess that is the question then, Gray. From your perspective, and I want to get Nathan's perspective on this too in a moment, but do you feel like they're in these three categories, and looking at citizenship, foreign dignitaries, and sovereignty, is there something that you feel gravitated to? Is there an initial improvement or an initial effect that you could see helping to further Aeternia in your mind? Is there one that you feel is easier to work on in this moment?
Well, definitely in tune with something that Stephen said earlier, that I think was wise, good to hear, was just focus on ourselves. And so on the House of Others has the responsibility of being, a part of others. within the Micronation community, and of course within Aeternia. I think citizenship fits well, and the House of Others becoming more and more established to be able to take on more and more weight for things as we grow the House of Others. Thank you to Nathan, who has been able to take on our social media. So for those of you who don't know Nathan's story, it's really, really cool. Nathan came in and just started with creating content, got on the Discord, started hanging out, talking with people, started creating content. And then AP and I got talking, and we realized we were growing, we had a need for someone in social media. Actually, I think a live stream or so ago, we actually, AP told the story, talking about how we had growth in our social media, and so Nathan came on board, and he's been doing our social media for a bit now, and within the House of Others, and so that's Nathan's story, which is one way he came into Aeternia, becoming a citizen and then under the House of Others. So, but for citizenship, absolutely, I think that's something that we can take on. There's a motion that I wanted to actually talk to you about tonight's meeting. Hopefully, I wanted Stephen to be here, but he's not on the call right now. I'm not sure, but we can catch up with him now, or catch up with him later. So
yes, absolutely. And I was going to say that's. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead now.
Oh, I was just going to say. I'm sorry that Steven did have to leave. I hope everything's okay with him. I'm going to try and check in with him after the stream. But that's a great thing about the recordings. We can document all this, and then we can move forward. I'm glad to see you taking an interest in the citizenship and wanting to develop that. I am perfectly excited to hear about motions tonight, and I think trying to look at that in respect to our larger plans and trying to fit that into our schedule, trying to create and fine-tune a schedule for this summer, I think is really going to be where my head's at in seeing how everything fits together. So I'm excited to hear it.
So the motion I want to talk about tonight was actually getting Nathan paid 4 notes a month for his work. And working with Stephen, see what we can do within the House of Treasury, start passing that. He's been with us for a while and he's worked hard, and I think that's a great thing to have.
100%. I agree with that. And I think looking at that and continuing to develop that will allow for us to start understanding, one, the value of our economy and how much we are able to disperse at any given time, but also making us answer questions like, okay, well, these are the different ranks within our government. These are the different positions that we need filled. What is the value of those positions? What can we apply to those positions? And how does that affect, based on how long someone's been here, based on, how quickly they've gotten into different positions, based on, quality of work. We haven't been able to flesh any of that out. That's all been solely based on the dedication of the people who have been supporting us and looking forward to trying to improve what citizenship means for people and improve what the value of our nation is for them. That's very, very important for us. So I agree with that 100%. I think we do need to have Stephen in for the conversation to finally stamp that, but I think, yes, we should absolutely be looking into that, and that's something that I am 100% for. I think if that doesn't happen like very soon, it will be something that most definitely happens before too long, because it is important. I just think trying to figure out exactly what that what the strategy is for once we start with Nathan. How do we start with figuring out, which positions and how positions get paid and developed is the goal. I'm also excited about that because it allows for once we are able to start using our imperial notes on the imperial market, that'll allow people to actually have value for these notes and to use them in a practical setting to get additional value from them. So we do want Nathan to absolutely be increasing his wealth in our society, and also there's no reason why somebody who has put so much work in, put so much effort in, should not be climbing the ranks of our aristocrat board and things like that, along people who have bought a few items from us. So I absolutely think that's not only important, but a necessary part of our development. So yes, that is. Thank you for bringing that up, and I actually want to go ahead and add that real quick to our notes tonight. To our notes tonight, but I will be doing that now. Nathan, questions, comments, concerns? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the last thing you said.
I said technical difficulties.
Yes, I am absolutely having technical difficulties at the moment.
There. I don't really have any questions or concerns or anything like that, really.
Good.
But yes, that is good. Thank you, guys. Let me real quick flash over to our notes so that we can see. Yep. We need to discuss paying Nathan 4 notes a month, and specifically, what we need to do under that is.
Let's definitely. I would like to definitely speak to Stephen about how much can be paid. I know he knows the income of the Empire. I misspoke when I said 4. I shouldn't have said the amount. That's something I would definitely have to queue Stephen with. So definitely, I don't know how much, but definitely something whatever Stephen thinks is good to pay, and what we can do. And obviously, I want to make sure that Nathan's paid well, so I'll try to work with Stephen and see what we can kind of negotiate for that.
100%. And I want to say as well, I really appreciate you trying to reach across the houses and do that and really start those talks. That's very, very helpful. And I really hope that becomes a more and more common standard for us as the government to be able to have those things and those terms starting to roll and starting to develop. So that way, whenever we are coming to those larger decisions, we can have specific meetings that'll be set aside for like just all of the different things that we've already researched and already had informal agreements on, that we can then go through and just formally hash out and agree and finalize. So this will be, I think, a great start for the development of working together like that. And I appreciate your part in that.
So hopefully by next meeting, you think we can have this.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things that I did want to talk to you and Nathan about. So we are actively. I had in our calendar, our imperial calendar, I had a government meeting like this one set for Saturday. However, I will actually not be free Saturday, and I didn't realize that when I was creating the schedule. So, being that we had a more full government meeting than we've had in a moment, tonight, I do think this is a pretty good thing for this week, as far as I would be surprised if in 2 or 3 days we had a lot more to all hash out as a large group. I hope we do, and I want to continue to move forward with that. But what I would like to see is if we do get to a good starting point by the end of this meeting, especially with you, Gray, and with Nathan. If you both are free this coming weekend, having, I think, like a house meeting for the House of Others, or trying to develop in some way the House of Others mindset for moving forward, and sort of starting to craft together a plan, potentially for the summer, potentially for just some longer term objective that gives the rest of the government and myself a mindset for how you all are going to be working, what your interests and focus are. Um, will allow us to connect better. So if we could try to have something this weekend, I would put that on the calendar, but I want to see you and Nathan's availability.
Most likely, yes, I'll be available.
Fantastic. And was that a confirmation from you as well, Griff? Sorry, and was that a confirmation from you as well, Griff?
So you're not available Saturday, but you're available Sunday.
I'm sorry, was this a question for me or for Nathan?
Oh, for you.
So I actually have kind of a sneak peek thing that I wanted to save for the video reveal, but Tiffany and I are going to be headed down to Pensacola, Florida. We're going to be going to Pensacon on Saturday, and so I was going to be in my Emperor's outfit, like you see here. I was going to go and talk to people and try to do a video about meeting people in person, talking about the Empire of Aeternia and stuff. And so that's going to be a trip that's going to be Friday, Saturday, and then driving down Sunday, staying Saturday for Pensacon, and then yes, driving down Friday. Sorry, Tiffany's also trying to tell me the schedule because I get lost sometimes in that. Driving down Friday, staying Saturday, driving back up Sunday. So that's the biggest reason why I said, just to be safe. I wasn't sure about Friday, and I wasn't sure about Sunday, and I knew Saturday I can't do. So if for whatever reason we ended up back here early on Saturday, I would definitely jump in a meeting or assist in any way that I could. But I don't want to say that I'm available because more than likely I may not be. But nevertheless, like house meetings and stuff can definitely occur without me. Ideally, I'd like them recorded so that we could like have it for the channel, and so that we could make sure that everybody's kept in the loop. But other than that, yeah, I hope that helps. If worst comes to worst, if there ends up being some progress made this weekend that I'm not able to be directly a part of, I'm more than happy to like be looking over things when I can, or be like jumping into that starting latest Monday.
Alright. I know Nathan and I were gonna just talk just about a few things in general, and then we've been going back and forth Saturday. But yeah, I didn't know if you wanted a separate meeting, or just we're wondering if other house meetings are happening. But yeah, we'll be Saturday, so I'm not sure what time yet. But we can figure that out tomorrow. So.
Absolutely. If you both are comfortable with that, I can go ahead and put just Saturday as like a House of Others meeting. If you both want it to be an official meeting, we can do that, and then if that's able to be recorded, we'll like upload it, in the following few days or whatever.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Nathan and I are still talking about that, so what exactly is, but I'll let you up on that.
Okay, absolutely, please do.
Sounds good. So when it comes to for the citizenship for the House of Others, when can we begin the discussion for moving over just the files and getting the training done needed to bring in all the new people and kind of get all that stuff sorted out for the houses?
Absolutely. So as far as bringing new people in general, I would like to be able to create, just like we have applications for citizenship and everything like that, I would like to be able to have specific applications created for the House of Others and the House of Treasure for government positions, and that could be something that we can either create like a general template for that both houses can use, and we can just change the name of it, or we could do allow the houses to create their individual applications. But we can move any files necessary.
Sorry. System over to the House of Others. If we can get the files and just also knowing how we log into citizens over, because I don't have the files for that. It's not within the House of Others file system. So if we can just bring that over. Do you think we can do that in our next meeting? We can just kind of talk about that and how it all works.
My camera was having difficulties right when you began speaking. You were saying that you didn't have files for getting access to like citizenship applications, ones that have already been submitted. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So what I tried to do with our documents and with our files thus far is to put them all within like a general Aeternia thing. Do you have access to that by chance?
No.
Okay. Then what I will do is I'll make sure everybody has access to that. I'll include all of those citizenship applications, all the Google Forms. We have alliances, citizenship, sovereignty, all of that. It must just be a settings thing. I need to go back to make sure that everybody's added to it, but they should.
I thought I have access to some files. But there's a few of them, which I believe is just a citizenship one that I don't have access to. And for dignitaries.
Okay. Again, my apologies. That may just be for whatever reason one was put in a different folder on top of each other. Something's weird. I will make sure after this meeting. Ruh-roh. Okay. Camera's being weird again. I will make sure after this meeting that you have access to that, and as well I'll confirm with Nathan and Steven that they have access to those as well. So I'll get you squared away with that after this meeting. And we can continue to talk about that.
Changing over to the new email for the House of Others, which actually I'm going to drop this in the YouTube chat. So if you're going to reach out to the House of Others and you want to email us, you can email us at attorneyyhouseofothers@gmail.com, and we can get back to you on any questions you have related to Aeternia or the House of Others itself. If you do email, so that's in the chat, and you can copy that and email us.
Absolutely. And I actually will, if you can send me that email, Gray, I will actually take that and I'll add it to the site and stuff as well, so we can have that be a contact source for people there as well.
Yeah, just send it over to you now.
Thank you, sir. But that's perfect. So I guess what I'm curious about is the House of Others interested in focusing more on citizenship. It sounds like one of the big endeavors would be trying to get additional nobles or additional people as a part of the house. Was there a specific goal in mind or a specific function that you were interested in looking at getting established?
So yeah, the latest video I talked about creating economy through the use of culture, and just talking about how we can just use whatever we have within us, our abilities, to create economy.
And by the way, it's a great video, you should 100% watch it. At the beginning, Greg falls over on a rock. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. It was slippery, man. It was slippery. So creating economy through the use of culture. I'm kind of also talking about like working within ourselves and how we can help Aeternia itself. Right now, the focus in the House of Others is just particularly that. Creating whether or not it's a product and getting that put on the Etsy store, so people can create that income. Aeternia can create that income. Or just working with people to create content in and of itself. Obviously, Nathan would know a lot about that, and what's his Aeternia show. So citizenship definitely is important. And I feel bad I've not reached out to a lot of the new citizens which I feel bad for. So new citizens, hi, I'm Greg, master of the House of Others. Thank you guys so much. I feel bad for not reaching out sooner, but thank you guys so much for being citizens. And I'm going to reach out to you guys soon, and we can continue our conversation, getting to know all of you guys. But yeah, so definitely for the House of Others is within the citizenship, but talking a lot more on the conversation of culture and the things that we can create, or just even in the conversation of having a conversation, and just allowing for more discussion about micronationalism, but fields outside of micronationalism, and just think about daily life and how people have been and what we're doing. We're a community here, we're a nation, and I'm just getting more involved with our neighbors per se. So that's kind of what the House of Others' goal right now. And obviously that will lead to economy, but that's more again on Steven's side and all that he's doing and all that. So yeah, definitely I'm looking forward to moving citizenship over to the House of Others. I'm excited for that and beginning that whole next step, growth of the empire.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that, and I'm excited for it as well. I think, like you were talking about, trying to get connected to ourselves internally, establishing citizenship as a primary function for the House of Others, as well. Your talk about trying to bring the micronational community together to talk about these different things and to be able to grow in that. I think we've talked about this before. I'm not sure if you have the capability, Gray, to stream on the channel, or if you would be interested in streaming on the channel. That's something that I'm more than able and glad to help you set up with. So that way, in case there are any, if the House of Others, especially having Nathan as a press noble and having his work with the Twitter and Instagram be so influential, you guys being able to work as a team to create these different events and different things that could be cultural events for the Empire of Aeternia, could be just discussions about specific hot button issues or things that need to get done, even things people may want out of us, or questions people may have about their citizenship. All of those things are things that I think would be immensely valuable to our community and to obviously our citizens, to be able to have as a part of the channel, either to be recorded or to be streamed.
I don't think my computer at this point can stream. It was able to, some things it's been having some issues, so it can't stream. It's definitely something I'm interested in. We've talked about this before. About streaming, the government meetings or one-on-one discussions about things. So that's great. I'm really happy we can do that tonight. With everyone, so that's exciting. Not at this point, though, my computer can handle that. That I know of. Yeah, I wouldn't want to risk it. She hasn't been happy.
I definitely understand. As far as recording, are you both able to access Zoom by chance?
Yes.
Yeah, we both have access to Zoom. Yeah, we use Zoom.
Fantastic. I know Zoom has the ability to record. So if there are any parts of meetings or anything, or especially official meetings, that would be able to be recorded, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely take notes and stuff for that meeting coming up.
Okay, fantastic. Also, Nathan, we haven't heard from you in a minute. Any questions, comments, anything about citizenship in the House of Others, about the House of Others in general, about your position?
No, not really. It's just like, I mean, I know I've already kind of talked to you about like not being able to record on Discord or Zoom. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how we could like record our meetings.
So I know we had talked about difficulty recording with Discord. Are you unable to record in Zoom as well?
Yeah, I've tried it before, and it didn't really work.
Okay. I guess at some future point we can message and figure out what devices you guys are using and stuff like that, so we could find a software that would be compatible and that would allow you guys to be able to record. Okay. So let me see. Um, so we have the meeting. We don't have an official meeting scheduled for Saturday, but we will be in continual talks about that after the stream to see if that's able to be confirmed and put on the schedule. As far as additional House of Others plans, that'll be, I assume, taking place and starting to be finalized once an official meeting is able to be established. Is there anything else besides, of course, updating to the documentation? Is there anything else that immediately comes to mind that I could start working on, or that you may need from me to help the process of coming up with that plan, or of giving you the tools that you need to accomplish that?
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully by our next meeting we can have finished the conversations for Nathan getting his payment. We can just discuss that in the motion for that to get through. Second, if we can have, hopefully by our next meeting, the House of Others and fully using the citizenship system, taking that over, and being able to use that and possibly bringing in a new member to help with that. But we can discuss that hopefully by our next meeting, so having that in order with that as well. At least that's for the House of Others that I can think of for coming up.
Fantastic. And yeah, I think that is a perfectly capable goal for us. I think the biggest thing that'll the pipeline, the structure for how that'll work is right now we're finalizing this meeting, starting to get things moving for you all with that paperwork as far as everybody having access. When you guys are able to have your discussions that you need to, and then are able to have an official meeting so that we can have the House of Others plans talked about, and everybody discussing and agreeing with that. Then once a House of Others meeting happens, we can have our next meeting to go through and finalize that, and to have an official okay, here's our topics for our agenda that we're wanting to move forward with. Here are the goals that we have, and then moving forward officially as a house to getting that confirmed through the larger government meeting.
Sounds good. Okay, just checking this. That sounds exciting. The one question I do have coming up for this is the sovereign dignitary, and for the sovereign dignitary and foreign dignitary and sovereignty. Then you looked at me funny. I was like, oh shoot, I'm not saying it right. Thank you. For those two positions, are we going to have them moved over to the House of Treasury?
So that is what it's starting to look like. I think citizenship, as far as just approval of citizens and checking their ability to do things, is an extensive task, but it's something that we have pretty well under our belt as far as being developed and having a track record for that. So I'm glad that we're moving that way with the House of Others. And I think that'll be something that's a good, stable platform for you guys to work on. As far as the House of Others, I think foreign dignitary is. I want to talk to Stephen about it to make sure that's the direction he wants to move in. But I think foreign dignitary is probably going to be the easiest thing for his house to take over and to start development on. As far as approving people, as far as having interaction and connection with the different nations that we're moving forward with relations with and alliances with on that level. But again, I'll have to talk to him to make sure that's what he's comfortable with, and then myself continuing to take on whichever one is not fit yet to be fully equipped by one of the houses. Um, the the biggest thing as well that I think will be needed to be developed in the House of Treasure is trying to get a noble for the House of Treasure as well, because that even in just securing the foreign dignitaries license as a part of the House of Treasure will mean reaching out to nations just like you have to do in citizenship to ask them questions about working for either paying their citizenship tax or talking to them about content creation or something, as well as the approval process for their citizenship and looking at the forms and doing all that. It doesn't seem like a lot individually, but it adds up, and I think that would fill Stephen's plate up very, very quickly on his own. So having him have a noble to be able to work through and to be able to handle day-to-day operations, I think is going to go a long way. And I think the foreign dignitary system, if the foreign dignitary's license, if he decides to take that on, and if the House decides to work on that, will probably be the most stable design for that as well. So right now, I'm imagining House of Others having citizenship, House of Treasure having foreign dignitaries, and the sovereignty system being developed as a continual progression of the prestige system improving, working out the kinks in that, making sure we can get more sovereigns under our belt, and then figuring out from there how to direct that in whichever house can take it on most comfortably at that point.
No, sovereignty, that is more of an external aspect to Aeternia. So just to understand, is that falling under what category of the houses?
Absolutely, and like I said earlier, that's something that I'm trying to figure out myself in official definition, because even foreign dignitary has both cultural aspects, external cultural aspects, as well as financial, economic aspects. The same thing with the sovereignty system. I would say there are both financial and cultural aspects, but I would say for the moment, the sovereignty system has a bit more financial than it does the cultural aspects. However, I'm not sure how that will adapt with time, with the addition of prestiges, with the addition of skills, because I think the citizenship and the foreign dignitaries licenses will both need prestiges and skills, but I think the primary source we will see popping up with a necessity for increasing the number of skills we have available, increasing the number of prestiges we have available, will really be that base in the sovereignty system. So there's a lot of interplay there between both houses, and I think it's gonna be taking a look at our future and how we develop each of the houses to see which one at which time they're moving most parallel to the goals of developing the sovereignty system, the sovereignty license.
Well, we have we have some sovereignty license applications that have come in, and we have people that want alliances as we speak, and want to be able to get back to them in a timely manner, especially because we have the note, and we have a currency that's great, and we have people within the community that want to create, and so there's a wonderful opportunity here for all of us to be able to work together, and come together to be able to make products and have alliances and all that good jazz. So, with that in mind, what can we do right now to get some of that in order? At least by the next meeting. Do you think by the next meeting we can at least have a definite discussion, a finalized discussion or one final discussion about where these will fall?
Yes, absolutely. And I think more than likely the way to get started with that as a whole, not just looking at the dissection of, well, which parts of the prestige system does each house take on, but in general the moving forward of making what the prestige system is supposed to be, what the benefit of it is to all of these different classes of people, is really going to be in starting to develop quests that can be brought out. And like you said, we have this imperial note, which can be a medium for that. The biggest dilemma I've struggled with in my own head in thinking through that is that the imperial note right now cannot be exchanged either for monetary value or for products in any large scale without running into legal troubles. There's something that was developed federally in 2017, I believe, called a money transmitter's license that I've talked about a little bit on the stream, but that we would need to acquire in order, from my understanding right now, that we would need to acquire in order to be able to, in large scale, actively accept and transmit that as a fluctuating currency, as a cyclical currency, as having that uh, being distributed within our community. We can of course send people that currency as payment for that service or whatever, but we could never accept that back. So I would worry about just we would be able to accept it back eventually, but we wouldn't be able to accept it back immediately, which would eh, mean that we have to be very, very careful about how much we send out, and that would mean that until we got the money transmitter's license, we would have to cap that value at a very specific number. So I would like to see if we can come up with, um, you know, a handful, three, four, five different initial quests that we could start offering that actually are things that we need to be able to advance in either the houses or in our government in general. Just short-term goals that we need knocked out quickly and that we could put somebody on through our sovereignty system. But the the way that I would like to be able to try and issue those rewards would be through physical items, things that we make, things that are already available on our store, or potentially, unique items that we could offer as just an individual one-time reward for whoever would be best fit to complete that quest and who would be approved as the contracted party to complete that quest for us. Um, so if we could do that, I think that would be a great way to test the system, to make sure that it works well for people, that people are getting benefit out of it, and then to be able to play more and more with using that as a means to achieve our goals and some of our shorter term goals.
So how close are we to achieving that goal, at least, or getting that license, or I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but being able to do for notes back for Kingdom to sell that? How close are we to that goal?
Absolutely. So that is one of the larger goals up there with land. It's not something that we shouldn't be able to knock out within hopefully 2 years, but the reason that I say it that way is because there are certain aspects to the money transmitter's license which we have to fulfill in quite a large standing to be able to be able to be applicable for. So I think the licensing fees, one is like $500, the other one's like 1,000. So there's like a state one and a federal one. From what I've looked at and estimated for our circumstances, it'd be probably $1,500, maybe additional small fees here and there for application submissions and things like that. Um, but that would be ballpark the monetary number we would have to save up and then spend out of our treasury in order to acquire that. But one of the largest hurdles that we have before that is their requirement before even applying of our business as we would be applying as a business through the United States. Um, but our organization, our government, being worth $25,000 minimum. So having our valuation and understanding, what the how they consider that valuation, whether that has to be in total profits, assets, etc. What can and cannot be considered grouped into that final sum is important. So we're still figuring out the details, trying to move forward with that, but it's a process that we're actively making progress on. We are in the middle of trying to finalize our business license right now. Once we get our business license, that will be the precursor step to starting to take serious moves into getting that money transmitter's license. And so that's the next step.
All right. So that's for moving the two, those two particular agendas that we have for sovereignty, license, and foreign dignitary coming up and having. So, all right. Now, are we going to touch on these in the next meeting, or is the next meeting going to be more focused? I know we'll have to reach out to Stephen. But I know moving forward, at least with the House of Others, we're going to be meeting. I'm actually going to reach out and maybe discuss a little bit more for the House of Others. I know we'll have to talk about this sooner, but I'm looking for some citizens to make a few things and to be able to pay them for some notes. So I'll discuss that with you in the future. But we can just start out with getting Nathan some kind of salary and start there, and then talk about being able to and move forward.
Absolutely. And I would say as well, the meeting next time, I would like to be able to cover those things, and I think we should, so long as everybody has enough time to, I think we should be able to cover those. I do want to make sure that we first focus on the things that have been developed in the House of Treasure and the House of Others. So if you and Nathan are able to get together, and if Stephen is able to come up with something by next meeting for thought process for how you want to move forward, what we can officially approve in that meeting, that should be something that is focused on first, and that'll be what we're developing. So next meeting, primary goal is going to be approving things that have been developed by the plans for the houses, your initial goals, the things you need most critically for your process, for your development, and then from there looking at things like our longer term stretches into trying to get the money transmitter's license activated and things like that. As far as you specifically saying that you had items that you would like people to make and would like to be able to pay them notes for that, I think in the long term, that should be again feasible. We'll have to talk to Stephen about figuring out how to. One moment, if you don't mind. Tiffany's trying to get me to try food. Goodness, give me one moment. Excuse me.
Is it better?
It's delicious.
Is better than last time?
It's delicious. Sorry, what I wanted to say is focusing on your question of trying to move forward with getting people paid for creating products. If we can try that out with a one-time reward, if we could try that out at first, talking about what the specific item is, and then approving a quest to be done with one specific reward for somebody creating that item. One, that could give us a contact, whoever the person is that is contracted for that quest and fulfills that quest. That could be our main contact to look into doing more consistent work in that field. If that needs to be developed, and then as well, that would be able to start us into the process simultaneously as they are completing that quest of making sure that our finances are in order to be able to actually eventually turn that into notes that would be paid out for that type of work instead of individual physical rewards.
So that would be the quest system being enacted. So when it comes to the quest system, we're established for bringing that into one of the houses. And is that a question of one of the houses, or is that maybe like a third house to cover some of that?
Absolutely. So I think, and eventually it will be overall another house that we would probably have to develop for wrangling in what the quests are going to become. Quests are underneath the prestige system as a way for people to handle different jobs and completing different projects. But as of right now, I think we should have initial focus from the houses on one aspect of whatever they feel needs to be developed. And like I said, I will be continuing to play shortstop for the others. The benefit to that, though, is I think we will still be able to increase our productivity in that because having each of the houses take on some of that will allow me to more directly focus on understanding how we should plan that out, and we can do that in phases. Having you both the two houses focus on their initial goals, confirmed the citizenship for the House of Others, and not yet confirmed, but hopefully soon the foreign dignitary system, the foreign dignitary license, excuse me, for the House of Treasure. I think the development of quests and the advancement of that as an entire area of work can be done as a process when we are developing both the foreign dignitary and citizenship licenses, respectively. And I think that's going to be a necessary part of it because our citizens will want to be able to apply for these quests. Foreign dignitaries, of course, will be wanting to not only apply for these quests, but hopefully also create those. And so as these things arise, hopefully it will bring up more and more questions and more necessity for the resolution and completion of exactly what the quest system will finalize as. Does that feel adequate? Does that answer?
No, yeah. Okay, so we're just trying to pen out what we'll be discussing next meeting, and kind of being able to. I have a few goals we're going to hit for this month, so I think we're just trying to check out. Our next meeting will be within this month, so just trying to see what I can get done before then for the House of Others.
Absolutely. And were those the goals that we had started to talk about initially? I'm sure there's going to be stuff that you and Nathan are talking about individually, but was there another thing with that, or was that the primary focus as of the moment?
No, that is the primary focus right now. Like I said, just going back to the video that was talking about for the creation of economy through culture, and that's kind of the goal for this month. And just begin those basic steps for that. All right.
That's perfect. And as well, I wanted to tell you, I was excited to see I don't know how much people know about this yet, but the creation of your paper products. And I'm excited to integrate that more and more into what we do, if that becomes something that you're continually interested in doing and expanding.
Actually, I was about to send you some coming right up. Some finished, a big stack of it. Yeah, I'll post on the Discord for everyone to see some of the paper and we're working on. I'll be sending you some for you to look at. Hopefully we'll be able to print a few things on this, and hopefully people will be able to purchase this on the Etsy store for themselves or for their Micronation. You can print your constitution on this, or your whatever documents you want on handmade paper. Maybe there'll be a video about how I made it, which is not that exciting, but there's paper, so yeah, I'll share a picture tonight about that.
You thought of a good idea for that. Basically, Gray makes paper, ships it to AP, and then maybe AP could try and make like a custom sticker to go on the box as like Eternian paper company or something like that, and then we can just ship it out to the other countries to give them sign their like declaration and stuff.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. I would like to do that. I know we will probably have the, like Gray said, have the paper just directly for sale for anybody that wants it for any purpose. But as well, I'm excited to use it even just in the additional packaging that we have already. And we've thought for a long time of in sending out notes and in sending out the owls marks and stuff like that, having having little slips of paper that come along with it to say thank you and to tell people a little bit more about us if they're not sure where to go for certain information. And that would be perfect to be able to have a printout that says, hey, this was printed on Eternian paper. This is a unique product, and to be able to talk about that and to make that show off a larger part of our culture. So I think it's going to be a really versatile industry, and I'm excited to see what we do with it.
I guess to answer the question, yes. So yeah, paper, yeah, that's another product I want to bring forward to just kind of sell, just not only to do it, I enjoy making paper, I love doing those fibers, talked about that in the past, weaving and making stuff, but just kind of also showing people that this is how it works. You can create a product and you can sell it, and you can also sell it on the Etsy store for other people to use. Or you can also sell it to the Empire, who will then take it and use it for whatever needs that the Empire has. But you can do that as a citizen, and then you can do that as a sovereign, or you can reach out to us through maybe before dignitary, and say, hey, you know what, like there's a product that we sell, someone in our nation makes, we're interested in being able to sell it to you guys, so can we talk about that and being able to create that through. Excuse me, hopefully this paper is the first step for all of us in doing that.
I completely agree, and I think that's if pulled off successfully and ensuring that we're going to continue to support that to make sure that it runs well. 100%. That is a game changer for the community. I think really having products that we can show off that are not needed to be based around just the physical location of Eternia, that we have a community that can create value wherever it is at, I think is huge and very, very strongly encouraging to other micronationals. So I think it'll be great, and I think there's going to be a lot that gets done with that, and a lot of surprising results and other creations that are made by people because of it.
Absolutely. Maybe people can make some friend sticks.
Absolutely, some friend sticks. We got to get more friend sticks.
Honestly, make a friend stick. Make a bunch of friend sticks, paint them nice, you know, color them, dye them, whatever it is, and then ship them over. Reach out to Steven, to AP. That's the e-commerce I want to do with that, but reach out to them. Like, hey, I got some friendship sticks.
Absolutely, and that would be really cool as well. I could see that becoming, especially for our culture and stuff. I know this is a something that is primarily based around you and the history that you have with it. But it would be really cool to see people have like painted, friendship sticks for like their alliances and things like that. And like if they meet in person, being like, hey, we have the stick. It's the stick that like represents the relation between our nations. We keep it in a box and it's framed or it's whatever. I think that'd be really cool.
True, that's one thing about Eternia that is cool being an empire. We can have different cultural aspects to us, but we can also share those with other people. So that's really exciting. So yeah, I mean, it would be cool, like, bring it to that realm of two nations cracking the stick. you know, being like, okay, that's our treaty, you know, we don't cut the rope no more, we break the stick.
Of course. Break this thing.
Yes, that's what countries should do for an alliance. Just hold a stick, break it, and then that's the proof of the alliance.
Yep. And then you could put them together and paint them and do whatever you wanted and frame them. Yeah, I think it'd be great. That's very cool. Yeah, and not only that, I think that's part of what makes Eternia what it is and why it has value is because it has been based around people who have come in and who have dedicated and who have put their time and their effort and their ideas into this. So I 100% want to commend you, Gray, for the paper company, for the development of the House of Others, for the development of the friendship sticks, which I'm excited about. I'm excited that that has been um, an amazing impact on our culture. And then the same thing as well for you, Nathan, in the development of everything you've done with growing our presence online and then also just explaining to people what we're doing. And again, to Stephen, of course, for everything that he's done, including this beautiful flag that we now have behind us. So, yeah, I think every time I get on a meeting, every time I get on anytime we have one of these moments, which feels like a next step for us, we're getting bigger, and it feels like we're getting bigger. It's shown that we're getting bigger. So I know that there is much more to come, and I can't wait for the next big moment.
Just getting back to some of the comments.
Thank you. I actually haven't been checking them in a minute. So, firstly, I haven't been able to talk very much to everybody in the comments since we started the stream, but I do want.
AP, you're muted.
Ooh,
You're muted.
I always do that. I don't know why I mute myself and then switch apps. What I was trying to say is I haven't been able to talk to everybody very much during the stream. We've been trying to get a lot done, and we have gotten a lot done with figuring out how we're moving forward. But I do want to say hello to Leanna, one of our citizens, and our first aristocrat, who is always on the stream. She actually just left not too long ago, but I did want to tell her thank you for being here. Of course, Queen Marionette, Master Deontay, you seem to be new. Hello. Jaya Manu, Shrek is the best. Reptile Keepers, of course. Darren Weber, King Darren, General Kibe of Southmore. There are a ton of people here. Eskimo, and I want to thank you all for joining us and being a part of the stream. There are a number of large questions that have come up throughout the chat. Ooh, and a lot of the chat has actually gone through answering the questions, so I do want to show everybody appreciation for that. Ooh, it actually is a lot of like talking between the nations. Okay, maybe there's not as much as I thought. Let's see.
Nah, I just saw Leanna answer a bunch of questions.
That's true. I was going to say Leanna has been fielding all these questions. I really appreciate it. That was one thing that was interesting. So, Darren, King Darren was talking about wanting some paper and to make sure that he had things documented on paper to be able to keep that and for posterity, as he said. And I saw Gray commented with some eyes, so I imagine that was keying him up to talk about paper. But yes, King Darren, we will be creating that very, very soon. and we'll have that actually on our Etsy available for purchase. So hopefully you will be able to not only have it on some paper, but have it on uniquely micronational paper. You'll be able to have the not only the words on your document mean something to your citizens, but the feel of that document in and of itself having some value to them. And yeah, and a lot of Leanna answering questions. Perfect. Before we wind down the stream, I will ask, is there any other questions, any other comments, any other concerns from anybody here or on the in the chat? I don't see any chats coming in, but I know there's a bit of a delay. Nathan, Gray, any final questions, comments, concerns?
I'm looking forward to our next meeting. Hopefully, we can grind out some, finalize some steps that we've talked about tonight and moving forward.
Agreed. Nathan?
No, I don't really have anything specific.
Fantastic. Well, yes, we will absolutely be having our next government meeting very, very quickly. Not this coming Saturday, because we had the meeting today. More than likely the following Saturday. Hopefully we can get some progress, some development done in between, so that way whenever we get to that meeting, all we will be doing is approving new stuff and getting through. I'm sure there will be kinks to work out, but we will be moving pretty quickly next meeting. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Gray and Nathan, for staying on and hanging out through the stream, working through all of the issues and all the questions that we've been having. I especially want to thank Stephen as well for being here and for making time to be a part of the stream, and as well having his house and trying to organize that himself. I imagine has been quite the challenge internally. So I appreciate everybody supporting us. I appreciate everybody being here, and until next time, we're the Empire of Aeternia.
Yeah, shout out to your Patreon stuff.
Oh, that's true. Tiffany also reminded me I should shout out our patrons. So real quick, I will do that. Shout out to Matt as one of our patrons, and as well shout out to Leanna. Both of them citizens, both of them dedicated people to our cause and what we've been doing, and you can find them in the chat of our videos all the time. So thank you to both of them, and thank you to everybody who have joined us tonight. It means a lot, and we're making progress.
I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna leave the meet. Aeternia forever.
Aeternia forever. Everyone have a good night.